What's up? It's your boy Carcino here, and here it is. We bringing you part three of this entire spectrum of beef and war and just business this time. And listen, this is what happens. Continuing on from the story with Ludacris and Nelly. Now you have Chingy versus Ludacris, or Ludacris versus Chingy, whichever way you want to word it. Luda signs and poaches Chingy from Nelly. So he's laughing about the situation. Like, cause they got something and it's successful. Right there goes through the roof. Nelly and them reap Ludo and them, and they reap all the benefits. Shaka signed him to the deal to his publishing company, which is called Ebony Sun, which the record label is, of course, Disturbing the Peace. Now, like they claim they did, because I went there. They claim that they sat down with his lawyers and everybody else and went over the books and went over all the issues with Chingy, who was they were calling Chingaling at the time, and there was no real problems at all with the money. Now, here's the problem: certain things that was being done behind the scenes, as far as back money that they were supposed to get paid for events and shows, they weren't getting. Um, Certain monies and royalties that were coming from sales, and he just had one album. Something wasn't right, and it wasn't matching up to what he was supposed to get. And what they assumed from what Chingy's side was like they were just stupid artists, and they weren't going to get their money. And a lot of it was going back to the record company and to Luda and his brother Shaka, and they were getting their hands in money they weren't supposed to get their hands on. So Chingy decided, hey, we need to talk. We need to talk. We need to talk. And the reason why this was happening because the people that he had that was representing him was implying to him that, like we need to really address this problem. It's getting out of hand. So he said, all right, well, we'll take it serious then. So when you go on that note, then you look at the situation where Shaka was upset because Chingy went public. Instead of doing it behind the scenes respectfully, Chingy went out in the public saying, man, DDP, we got a little business issue right now that we got to address because, my money ain't right. And when you went public, it's the wrong way to handle a situation like that. And the reason why is because it gives and implies to the fact that they're robbing you. So it hurts the brand of disturbing the peace. So Luda is mad. Luda's like real hot about it. So they had to come out and do an interview. It's like, now we got to come out and do an interview because this clown come out and do this, man. No, he ain't with us no more. How you gonna have somebody with you on your label that come out and say y'all crooks like we robbed the people? So he was upset about the whole situation. And while he was upset about it, all of this was playing into the fact that Chingy, after all of the success on his first album, he felt I really don't need this disturbing the peace thing no more. I can come out on my own little brand. And he been in talks with 50. And 50's trying to tell them because 50 was trying to get his G Unit Soft going on at the time. So 50 might have tampered with this situation by letting some lawyers look at his deal. And it caused all this disruption with Chingy. So I don't know why everybody was fighting over Chingy, but 50 Cent had a game in there and was like, look, you want to get some film stuff going, or we could do that, but I'm not gonna come in on do contract because we didn't know they didn't know how far this was gonna go. But still, 50 had a lot of interest in Chingy at this time. So Luda and Shaka, they were really adamant about what was going on in this situation and that they didn't rob no Chingy, and they showed him the paperwork and the lawyers had all this and that. So they weren't going to pay him nothing. But they released him from his deal. They said, you know what? You gone. We don't want you no more in DTP. DTP, you out. So they had I-20, and they had just signed Field Mob, so with Sean J. Yeah, y'all remember Sean J. And Sean J now, they dissing Chingy. Now, while Chingy was also brought up the fact that he felt he wasn't being able to grow because during that time, Chingy was when he had Right There and all that, all the younger girls that were going to the concerts, they were asking about Chingy. And that was hurting Luda. It was hurting him in the heart because Luda was like, yo, they got Luda. And they was like, everybody like, where's Chingy? Where's Chingy? And, people was at these concerts, little cousins. Luda expect all the attention to be on him no matter what. He still had girls screaming for him. But it was the fact that some of them were asking for Chingy that really started to hit his heart because Chingy wasn't even on that tour. And it didn't even make sense for Chingy not to be on that tour that they were on. So, he was like, man, that was kind of weird that Chingy was like the only artist who wasn't there. And this was before the problem. And everybody like, where's Chingy? We want to hear Right There. I thought Chingy was going to be here. Like, nah, ain't no Chingy. And they did this like right in Luda face. Why would you go up to Ludacris and ask him about Chingy? So when that started happening, you start seeing a lot of things shift. So they had Field Mob put out a diss record. They were like, y'all got to put out a diss record on him. I-20, all the other artists was putting out diss records. Luda can't be seen dissing Chingy. But they was taking shots. So Chingy's like, forget it then. I'm going to take a shot then. If everybody going to take a shot at me, why in the world am I sitting here? So Chingy went over there, started taking shots and throwing little jabs back. So they let him go. They was like, you know what? You out your deal. But it took time. But you know what happened? They got their money. Chingy it was under the table, but Chingy was right. They owed him some money. So he went and did his deal. And what they said, what Disturbing the Peace said, who they normally work through Def Jam. Def Jam didn't want to sign him or couldn't sign him at the time or whatever, so they worked the deal out through Capitol Records. And they said, well, Capitol Records made these decisions for you. So his deal was through Capitol, and his other records was released through Capitol. His other 3 records through his promotional agency, whatever he had, that Slaughter Records, Slaughter Lot Records, whatever. And then he had, through Capitol. And once they saw that, he didn't see a push. He didn't see a real big push for his, his projects and everything. He's just like, man, these guys are used to dealing with pop artists. They don't know how to work with, a guy from the streets. They just have no connection with us. So I don't know how I'm even gonna fit in here at all. And basically, he wanted out. Like, I gotta get out of this situation. And he ended up going back to DTP down the road because now he's like, look, we'll come to work together on terms so we can get these last couple of albums out. Now they straight. Once they sat down and went through the books and everybody realized what was what. But this is why people got to realize they business. They got to have the right people going in. You can't have homeboy manager, homeboy lawyer coming through the door. You got to have somebody who's equipped with doing these type of contracts. Do not be afraid to have your lawyers go through the contracts, read everything, learn it yourself too, so you don't be getting robbed. And that was basically it with those two. But this led to another beef. Phil Mob and Ludacris. After watching this implode and what had happened with Chingy and his situation, Sean J and Luda ran into a major problem. And that's part 4 of this. I'm out.